program here, man. We're gonna your topic. The topic tonight is so timely, man. Of course, we took the grabbiest of headlines and put it under your on your bio section. The conspiracy to steal the human soul. I guess you got to put it in stark terms like that, because it isn't just somebody messing around having some fun with some DNA here. There's some larger event happening, isn't there?
We're in a really very dramatic time, and the truth is that we know that there are some pretty dark energies at work. I mean, I don't need to tell you that. But what we need to start really thinking about is how they're going after the human DNA, what their plans are for human DNA, and what we're going to do about it. Because in the end, that is the ultimate godliness. That is the divine blueprint of creation. And if there is a team of beings who want to alter that for nefarious purposes, we need to know what to do about that. So that's what the book is.
Mm-hmm. I was ranting and rolling before you came on, and I was thinking about the DNA. I'm just wondering. There's sort of the DNA part of it, particularly with vaccines and stuff. There seems to be some gene altering situation going on there. But then the soul, which is considered sort of the spiritual part of things. But I'm wondering if an intact DNA is like a wall, like a Star Trek deflector shield that keeps them from reaching in to steal your soul, as if the DNA was what makes you human, therefore your soul is yours. But if that is broken or disturbed or altered, then the soul stealers may have a more of an access. What do you think about that?
I think that it's possible that they are at the point where they can. Uh, in the book, I talk about CRISPR, which is gene altering software, where they can go in rather easily now and clip out segments of the DNA with precision strike, cutting out, cleaving the DNA. And they can add then segments of other DNA or whatever, even vibration, because we know that the DNA is a language, it's a code. So if they can snip something out, can they also put something in that will alter the consistency of the actual biology of any biological being?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what their intention is, and that when they talk about making a human 2.0, which you're hearing from the World Economic Forum, they said, this idea of a god and this soul. This man Harari, who you probably heard him say this, he's the spiritual advisor, I think, for the World Economic Forum, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a video out where he says this idea, this human idea that you have a soul and a god, that's over. We can now improve upon the human being, because human beings are hackable animals, and we have the technology, and we're going to improve and create a new version, a human 2.0, without, his message clearly was, without the godlight within you, without this fantasy of God. So my proposal in this book is, are they at the point where they are able to go in and cut out the godlight, the God source, the God code,
Mm-hmm.
which to me would be the signature of our creator?
It's
Are they capable of doing that? And is
mm-hmm.
that the intention?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, you froze up for just a second, but you said that you're pondering whether or not that is their intention. There does also seem to be more calls for depopulation as well. But first of all, it seems like this sort of multi-pronged attack on humanity itself is one of the places, Patricia, that is manifested is this push toward grinding up humans and putting them in mulch to put them under a tree. Are you familiar with that now?
I've just heard about that.
Yeah. So I seen sort of a clip from one of the companies. I think it started in Washington, maybe at Oregon. It just got passed in New York, but they say your person. They say you can bring your person to our facility, and as we merge them, they have these real soft tones. They don't say your loved one. You bring your loved ones. They say you bring your person, because they can't say loved one, because if they say loved one, you might question the fact. So my loved one is going to be put in this giant cylinder, and then there's these grinders in there that's going to grind his face and his head and his body parts. And as the goo extremities goes in with five bags of dirt and with fungus for growth, and as the bloody goo swirls around, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, how lovely, you can take Aunt Doris and you'll be able to plant her and help creation. So in other words, of this push to hack the soul and DNA and add something to it, as you said, there's these other points. That's one point and cannibalism can't be much further. And then depopulation is another one. So there's all these forces. They all seem to be heading in a sort of a dystopic future.
Well, it's a Luciferian situation as far as I can see. I mean, there's really a dark force at work here, and as I said in the book, I think we're in Armageddon. We're in it. We're not. It's not coming. It's not a future. This is Armageddon. This is a battle of darkness and light. We're in it, and so we're seeing all of this, like you said, dystopian. I don't think it's future. I think it's now. I mean, what I just heard happen yesterday in Portland. Did you hear what happened?
No, go ahead.
This man attacked somebody on the train because he wanted his seat. He ate off his ear, and then he ate his face. And by the time the police came in, the man's bones were hanging out.
Wow.
It's like, you hear this thing, and what's shocking is that we're becoming so anesthetized to, I'm sorry about that, I know it's heavy duty, but we're becoming anesthetized to it because our daily bread at the moment is just horror, more horror, terror and horror. And as you said, the not mentioning loved ones, family, these things are being stripped out of our psyche and replaced with units, what are you calling it? The birthing parents, can't say mother. Mother has too much compassion, love, emotion. So there is definitely an effort to strip out human emotion and take away our humanity and our godliness. I think that we are all sparks of divine light, and I don't think they can take that away no matter how hard they try. But I do believe that the idea of this hacking the God code, of hacking humans and making us better by means of hooking us up to AI, computers, and monitors, internal monitors, and the whole bit. I think the intention is to strip out. They believe they can strip out the godlight within us, and that godlight is what is going to prevent them from succeeding in stealing the human soul.
Yeah, I saw that on your website there, and I think it's repeated on our website there, because you at the very end, well, actually it says, "This is Armageddon, the war of darkness and light, and we will win it." Just before you come on the show, I do something called Ranting Points, and then we have before that is the Bear Report, and both of us were talking about Damar Hamlin, who was had a near-death experience on the football field there, but not being able to take our soul was demonstrated there because everyone was praying, and that these forces don't want people praying, and they were probably cringing and biting their tongue and saying, "We're not going to advertise on this show." There was a battle. Anybody that watched my Christmas show would have known, heard me talk about it, and others, of course, know about it. But Charles Schultz, when he made a Charlie Brown Christmas, CBS said, take the prayer out, take that part about Jesus out, take that part about babe in swaddling clothes out. We can't have that on national television. And he told them either it stays in the show or you're not going to play the show. Well, they were stuck because they had promised Coca-Cola that they had a show and they couldn't stop at the last minute. So these forces, that's where advertisers are. So when they see, even I'm sure that was in 66 or whenever, but today you can imagine if there's something mentioned about a soul or a prayer that they got, it'd be like holy water and a vampire, or a cross and a vampire, or a silver bullet and a werewolf. Man, they just go running.
That's exactly what it is. And that's why it's so important that we light workers understand the tools that we have. And our tools are starting with, above all, belief and faith and prayer, because the other side is using magic and ritual and all kinds of conjuring for spirits, dark
Mm-hmm,
spirits.
mm-hmm,
So this is the spirit world is real,
mm-hmm,
and we need to face that. And that's what I mean about being in Armageddon. They're calling upon the dark spirit world as well to be involved in this transition, that where they want to take
mm-hmm.
humanity.
Wow.
And it's a we're in a struggle, but I don't know about you. Well, I have a good feeling about you. That is that when you're a light worker and uh, that you've got the godliness within you, the spark of God is within us all, and that spark will win over the darkness. But we have a battle. Is that a halo on your head?
It is.
That is too cute.
Oh, by the way, let me welcome to the show. Just logged in our live chat along with the others: Australian Ben, Life Station Express, Robert Griffin, Rose Renoff, and grumpy old Army vet. You're a little late. I'd expect you to be here on time next time. The show actually starts 7:45. See you there next week. Now, so Patricia, we have a poll. I don't know if you saw it on the website, related to a little bit to tonight's topic. It says, "Is your DNA damaged?" And the video, the people watching the show can answer, "I can't tell. Where is it? I'm sure it is. No, it's just fine. No, other people's DNA is damaged." 34% say I can't tell if my DNA is damaged, and 34% don't know where it is. I guess you might make an assumption it's in your body, but I understand. I understand the confusion there. But if a person's DNA was damaged, would we know it? Would we have weird thoughts? Would we be argumentative? Would we be just ugly to our fellow human? I mean, what would we just, instead of saying, "Well, pray for you, I'll give you a thought"? I mean, how do we know if our DNA has been damaged?
Well, the DNA, first of all, is within the cell. So it is the architecture of our biology. It tells the body what to do, how the cells should reproduce, what should die off, what protein should be created. It is the basic structure of the physical being. So for starters, the DNA is everything. It's everywhere. It's in every cell. Now, as far as knowing, well, just being alive in this world right now, of course we have damaged DNA, because we've got pollutants that we're dealing with, we've got electromagnetic frequencies. All of these things are damaging the body. And you've heard of free radicals and all of those things that are created from disharmony also affect the DNA. But it has a self-repairing aspect, which is what the DNA is. It knows what to fix. Unless we really abuse the body knows what to do. And so what I think people need to be thinking about is, if they did in fact take that shot, those shots have mRNA in them. And that mRNA is, the University of Lund in Sweden has come out and identified the fact that in fact these shots are altering hepatic cells, liver cells in the body. So it's not true that it doesn't migrate, because we were told that it stays in the arm. No, it's not true. It does migrate, and it is altering the DNA. And that's what it's designed to do. So my question to people is, why would you allow something to come into your body that's altering your DNA without having any understanding of what that is? And to the people that are answering that survey, if you have had the shots, you most likely are experiencing a synthetic mRNA technology that is altering your DNA. Mm-hmm. And that is a very dangerous thing. And I'm very concerned about it enough to write this book.
Well, I can tell you that if we were streaming on YouTube, we'd already be cut off the air. That's in fact why I'm on Rumble, because interesting, a couple of years ago, somebody mentioned the vaccine on the show, and YouTube went back and said, "Hey, we found it. You're done," and it just killed all my videos. But we have to talk about it because, out of care for our fellow humans, I think there was a study saying that 1 out of 4 Americans know somebody who's had a heart attack or died. Now, those numbers are astounding, and they say that the actuaries are proof for it. I haven't gone online to look. I guess somewhere there might be public information where you can see the actuaries of what people are dying from. But I keep getting, blurbs about insurance companies are saying the payouts and the deaths and the injuries are sky high right now, but that's basically kept from the public's view, that information anyway. We were never going to get the straight story from the mainstream news. So where do you go to get information like that?
Well, I just want to say before I answer that question that one only has to realize that Pfizer was trying to hold back their report for something like 79 years, and a local court forced them to bring out those stats and those figures. So for the drug company to want to get away with 80 years without reporting the reality of what they've got in those needles, that's your first clue. As far as statistics, it's very hard to get any clear data. What we know is there's VAERS, which is supposedly tracking incidents and injuries from the vax, and that is supposedly only 1% or something ridiculous, like 1% of what's really going on is being reported. But at least there, we're seeing reports of people having injuries and deaths and whatever. And then there's a new video out called Died Suddenly. Have you seen this video?
Mm-hmm.
So
terrifying to be a word I'd use.
Yeah, it is terrifying. And, so we can't count on true statistics because we know the media is controlled by the big pharma, big gov. But what we can do is open our eyes and notice that people are dropping dead on fields. They're dropping dead on the television. I mean, how many journalists have I seen just fall over in their chairs? It's shocking what we're seeing. And if people have a minimum amount of awareness, you can't ignore this. You can't say, oh, gee, that's a coincidence. Another 2 reporters just fell over at the desk. Another 3 young men died on the field. We're seeing a die-off. And it's been predicted by several doctors, like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. I don't know if you've ever interviewed her, but the doctors that have the guts and the determination and the humanity to come forward with what they know. And it's pretty scary stuff.
So when DeMar collapsed on the field, Twitter and most chat places and article comments were flooded with people immediately saying it was a shot. It did have the markings of that because I don't know how many football games anybody else has watched, but I've never seen any hit that such as that he took to cause that situation. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying. So that was the incident. Of course, the pushback was instantly conspiracy theorists are saying it's a shot. It's obviously not. And then they had this obscure heart thing. Okay, maybe this obscure impacted the heart at the precise second, a precise way. Maybe it does. But there are also reports the FBI agents showed up at that hospital, and one of the people that saw him said he followed one, and they saw him follow him, and they said they were going to arrest him for even sort of asking the question. So, I'm thinking, okay, when are we going to get a story that's just a story without some kind of weird looking thing involved with it? Some speculation. It's just pure speculation, of course, that they want to make sure the right story was going to be told there. All right, we got questions coming in for you, Patricia. Let's go ahead and start at the top here. Was the COVID jab a litmus test between those who belong to God and those who don't?
Boy, that's a really good question. All I can say is this: when you roll up your sleeve and said, "Yes, do it. Whatever you've got, I'll take it because I'm so terrified that I believe and I obey." So when you bow down like that, you're basically, I think you're making a pact. And
Whoa. Wow.
I mean, one thing is signing a contract in blood. Another one is saying yes, rolling up your sleeves, saying yes, 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 do me, without any question about who and what and why that is. And a lot of people have done that innocently, not realizing. And, now they're facing a very terrifying moment. And that is, what if what's going to happen to me? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
did I get a bad batch? All this stuff that's out. And what I'm trying to tell people in the book is what, no matter whether you took that or not, there is always a solution. There are people working on solutions. And in the book, I'm trying to show people that you can utilize that power of the mind, that inner guidance within you. You could, mind over matter. I believe that you can overwrite the overwrite. So in other words,
Okay, good, good. I like that. Overwrite the code. Overwrite the
yeah,
code.
that's it. If they're planting or overwriting our DNA, well then, by golly, we should be able, with mind over matter, to overwrite the overwrite. And that's what I'm trying to help people understand.
Overwrite over. By the way, underneath that tree there, that's not a nutcracker, is it?
No,
Sitting there on the ledge.
No, it's a funny looking moose. I haven't had the heart to take down the tree yet.
Okay, well, I'm not worried about that. But if that's a nutcracker, I'm terrified of them, because I got a feeling, for Patricia, that they get up at night and walk around with their gnarly teeth. So as long as that's not a nutcracker, I'm safe over here.
Oh boy, that's scary. Now I'll always be scared of nutcrackers. No, it's a funny looking moose.
Well, if a demon's going to animate some kind of creature, it's going to be a daggone nutcracker for sure. All right. So Jade, our moderator, asks you this, says, Patricia, what about the pills they're now offering? Are they just as dangerous?
That's another great question. We know that they're going to start putting mRNA in oral medication. They even want to put it in our vegetables and food.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've got to be very careful, because I can't make any medical claims or we'll all get in trouble here.
Of course, yes.
But what I do, in my book, I say I'm not a physician, I'm a metaphysician. So I can't make any medical claims, but I do invite people to consider, what are you putting into your body? It's time to take more control over what's going into your body. And do you need these pills? And do you I'll give you an example. I went to the vet with my dog, and they wanted to give her another vaccination, and I said, mm-hmm. I don't think we need another vaccination. And she said, but it's an annual thing. And I said, I don't think so. And she said, but it's required. I said, by who? Well, it's not required, but it's advisable. I said, look on the box and tell me if there's any thimerosal in it. She said, what's that? And I said, mercury. So she said, there's no mercury. And she takes the box, and sure enough, her eyes went bing. She said, there is. I said, thimerosal is mercury. You're not putting mercury in my baby.
Wow.
So I invite people to read before you just accept whatever you're being told to take, all these chemicals, and they interact. And now they're going to be putting this mRNA in everything. See what you can do without, and really give some consideration to healing your body without necessarily taking all the chemicals. The most important thing, I think, is just not just taking it because you're told to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for everything across the board, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh.
I'm a purist. Like I said, I don't take meds.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
in fact,
good.
The doctor, after you get to this age, thank you very much, doctor, and telling me you're not taking any prescription. I said, yeah, I don't.
Okay, good, good. All right. Grumpy old army vet says, are LGBTQ people super messed up? Is that what's wrong with them?
Oh boy, talk about a slippery slope. As it is, you can.
I can't believe I asked that. Can't believe I allowed that question.
I don't know how to address
moving on. Although we do have a multicolored DNA thing back here. Just saying. All right, let's get on to this
I
here.
mean, yeah, but how pathetic is that? That we no longer can celebrate a rainbow without having it have to mean something. This is like you were saying that the mutation of language and symbols and everything to alter our perception. I'm going to celebrate a rainbow every single time I see one, which is almost every other day here on my island.
What? Wait a minute. What? You living on an island?
I live in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in between North America and Portugal.
Wow, man, we are traveling across the world. So you must be what, 5,000 miles from here?
Probably, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning for me, so I'm doing well, right? I look
Yeah.
pretty fresh.
Oh man, you're all chipper over there, wherever that island is there. So, I mean, wait a minute, I want to know something here now. You got like palm trees and coconuts and stuff, or what?
No, it's this particular island, although some of them, there are 9 islands in the Azores, and my island is called Fayal. And it's pretty, yeah, there's some palm trees on one side of the island, but it's a pretty windy, it's a rough weather in the winter
Uh-huh.
and glorious, gorgeous, sunny days in the summer. But it's not a sticky, hot climate. It's cool because we're pretty north
Mm.
in the Atlantic.
Okay, so do you go like scuba diving or fishing, or
Yeah, yeah, lots of fishing, good fishing.
you guys have any
And
lobster? You guys catch lobsters over there?
no, it's not I don't know if it's being farmed out and sent to China, but I've never seen any lobster here.
Okay. All right, let's get to this here. Life Station Express says, Patricia, is there something harmful on the testing swabs?
I can speak freely, right?
Yes, you may.
Okay, so they have identified that on these swabs are extremely bad chemicals. I don't remember the exact name of the chemical, and little bristles that are glass-like structures that are going into the sinus cavity. And how ridiculous. I mean, only there can they get the cells that they need. If it's such a virulent virus, why don't you just take a little spit? That ought to do it. No, they're going to go into your next to your blood-brain
Yeah.
barrier and
Ooh.
twist this thing around. And when they twist it, these little particles, which I've seen under a microscope, they look like little glass tubes.
Mhm.
They break off, and a lot of scientists are saying that they travel and that they can pierce the blood-brain barrier. So I believe that the test is part of the campaign
Hmm.
of the vaccination program.
Well, it looks
And
like we got
first,
we got a few questions that got sparked from your island over there. Does your island have a name?
Fayal,
How do you spell that? I'm looking that up.
Faial. It's gorgeous.
Huh. Okay. Well, if I'm ever out that way.
Yeah, come on by. I'll cook you an Italian
Oh,
dinner.
okay. Italian out in the Atlantic. Is it Atlantic or Pacific?
Atlantic.
All right, you're out in the Atlantic. Okay. Um, so Max says, Patricia, if you have sold your soul and you repent, can you be in heaven with the breath of God?
Boy, these are some phenomenal questions. I uh
Good audience.
yeah, I think that there is always grace of God. And if you I mean, I don't it's a tough question to
Yeah. Well, you don't have to have every answer. We just ask the question. If you got it, then fine.
call out to God and beg forgiveness, that there will always be forgiveness.
Beg for forgiveness. Now there are those Patricias that have been on the show that flat out claimed you're going to burn if you did that. I don't make that claim, and I don't support that claim. I think the jury is out on that, and besides that, I don't think we'll ever know unless somebody comes back to tell us
I don't think,
how that goes.
I think the really good thing to do is not to ever sell your soul,
Mhm.
and to give it away, to give yourself away, and just stay close to God, stay on the path.
Mhm. Stay on the path, man. Um, or kind of like in the movie Apocalypse Now, one of the soldiers said, whatever you do, stay on the boat. Stay on the boat. Because every time they got off the boat, bad things happen, man. So stay on the path. Stay on the path. Well, so a couple years ago in a movie or a series called Utopia, Cusack, forget his first name, John Cusack. Um,
John.
but he was a mad killer scientist dude who created a vaccine, and that vaccine, so this is 2020, and it was an Omicron virus. And he said the wonder of my invention, my creation is that I put the virus in the vaccine. And now then he went on to explain, but in this particular show, as scary as it kind of lined up today, he said it is designed to reduce the population, and not just one generation, but for 3 generations, that it goes into the DNA. And then as people attempt to reproduce, it doesn't go anywhere. So it's a sort of depopulation by attrition, and people won't even know it. But then made this other claim. This goes what you said just a while ago. And then he goes, somebody says, well, we have to do it in America. Yes, if we have to do it in America because we're the center of everything. But he goes, once we created it, we'll have hundreds of millions of people lining up to give us their arms.
Oh my God.
Now, of course, they don't know that they're what's in there. Nobody's going to find out what's in that vaccine. They just know they were told to get it, and they were scared the crap out of, so they're all lining up to get it. And so whether it's a depopulation or whether it's to maim and hurt or kill people, whatever, well, something's not right. But as you stated, millions and millions of people line up to get it. So if they announce another booster, man, they might as well get out of the way. It's going to be a wholesale mad rush to get it. They're going to say, here's my arm, man, me first.
That really freaks me out, because it's one thing to have made the mistake to have already gotten it, but if you keep taking it, keep taking more of this, then God help you. I mean, that's all I have to say. God help you. I pray for the people that are doing that.
So we have in a book here, The Cosmos of the Soul. What's that all about? Kind of matches your shirt there too.
It does. That was my first book 25 years ago. I've been around a long time. I've written 13 books in 25 years, and I've been talking about all kinds of things. I mean, my first books were talking about the nature of the universe, very, multidimensional reality, which was kind of avant-garde at the time. And those early books, HARP, they talked about chemtrails before anybody else was talking about them. So The Cosmos of Soul was my first one. And it was kind of a jolting description of the nature of creation, the nature of the universe, and again the godliness within all of us, and the cosmos of soul, meaning a cosmos that is comprised of soul essence. So it was a very well received book, and I went on to write every year. I had a new book. It was just nonstop.
Essence of the soul. Essence of the soul. So, simple question here, Patricia Corey. Where's the soul?
Boy, you're really taxing my brain. Where is the soul? Soul is everything. The soul, everything has soul. All life, I believe. Animals, when people say animals have no soul, I say, really? Have you looked one in the eye lately? Maybe the guy that's saying animals have no soul has no soul. But for me, the soul is it's in the DNA, it's in the light that is within us. It permeates the space that we occupy. It's the essence of who we are.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think? What do you
identify where it's located? Right.
Right. Where's it actually located, though? Say,
in every cell of your being.
Okay. Now, why would nefarious forces want to steal our soul? What are they going to do with it?
If you are, let's, for the sake of conversation, suggest that we have Luciferian overlords at the helm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And their objective is to darken the light on the planet. And we know that they're doing this because they've got the chemtrails. Now they want to do this Bill Gates program with Harvard University. It's called SCOPEX. They want to send balloons up that will disperse calcium particles in the upper atmosphere and block the light from the sun. They don't want light. Okay. So, forgot your question. I'm sorry.
No, the question was where's the soul? I think you answered that one. I said, what are they going to do with the soul? If they get a bunch of souls, what are they going to do with them?
If their agenda is to create a slave race, to first of all kill off a lot of us, and then those that are left to create enslaved, robotic humans, they need us to not believe that we are immortal, not believe that in a God, not believe in love, because they want us to be robots. They want us to be cyborgs. And they're saying as much when they say, we're going to create a new model. I mean, this guy, Harari, said, we can create a new species, human 2.0, and you'll be monitored and registered and connected to AI, and you'll be better. And you can let go of all this God fantasy. So they want the soul of humanity out of their way so they can turn us into these robotic creatures.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's going to be a fight going on if they try to grab my soul, because I ain't giving it up to no crazy.
I think one of the points of the book is they can't steal it. You have to give your soul away. You have to sign it away. That's what they want. They want the surrender, the obedience, right?
Well, now, see, that goes to a deeper question, too, that I've pondered with a few other guests. And I just throw it your way, too. I'll send it to the island over there. They can do what they want with virtually anybody or any population they want. But there seems to be some requirement that they get consent, they get agreement, they get volunteer, they get somebody who accepts something willingly, whether it's by fear or whether it's by financial means or losing your job. But they can't, like, there seems to be where they don't go to that force option as if it won't get the result they want, or it won't be legal in the realms of the supernatural or wherever that's coming from. It seems that they have to get you to say yes willingly. Then they can go to their forces and say, "Hey, he said we could take it. We didn't force him. We didn't force him to give up their soul. We didn't force him to take the shot. We just suggested it. Never mind the threats and everything, but they accepted it." So is there some sort of legality? Because they don't use that, because even the worst of the communists in the planet haven't used that option. It's been more or less, hurting people in the different areas or censoring you or whatever else.
So you were frozen for part of the question, but I think I grasped your question, and that is about the fact that they have to have consent. And that's what I was talking about. When you roll up your sleeve, you're giving that consent. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here, but you're
connection.
I wonder if I can just hang up and try dialing you again. Hopefully this thing will clear up. Okay. All right. Having connection problem from the island out there in the middle of the Atlantic, as amazing as that is. Looks like the system's trying to reconnect. Let's see. Hello. Boy, you can't.
Looks like we got some interference going on.
Yeah, huh? I guess the topic caught the algorithm's attention somewhere.
So I was trying to answer your question, and that is, yes, it's all about consent. It's not enough if you are a Luciferian, or let's just say, your goal is anti-light, anti-God.
Okay.
And you want to glean power from other beings. How do you glean that power? By them yielding, giving themselves away to you. It's not enough to kill you. They want your soul. And the only way.
Uh-oh, looks like we got another lock up there. Um, somebody's hacking into the connection here. You back?
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, we're getting interfered with.
Hmm.
And so that's why people really need to understand that fear has a vibration that's very, very low. And so they manipulate and control us with that fear because that is probably the easiest way to get people into obedience.
Mm-hmm.
So I am inviting people to stand up to the fear, examine what
Mm-hmm.
you're being told.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, in the case of this so called virus, you look at how many people got sick from or died from the virus versus died from the vaccination,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be shocked to notice, like you said, the virus is in the vax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. That is, we're not doctors and we can't make that claim definitively, but it does seem that all the maladies are happening after the shot. First, they were trying to say it's because you don't have a shot, you're getting stuff, but then people start getting a shot, and then everything started multiplying as if, and then somebody will die, and they'll say, well, it would have been worse if he wasn't vaccinated. I'm thinking, what do you mean it wouldn't be worse? the dude is dead. I mean, and they'll say that in an article. It would have been worse if it wasn't vaccinated. I don't know how worse it can be if you dead. See. But so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shenanigans going on with that. But I think we need to. You talk about fear too, and I like your stance on that. That we win in the end, and this kind of thing, because even Bible says that fear has torment, and but perfect love casts out fear. So, and then going with the Moody Blues, it says it rouses them to believe that we perceive the web they weave. So and it says keep on thinking free. So we need to continue with the freedom that we've been given. That's our God-given natural right, free to speak, free to believe, and being free from fear. But some of these things are our own choices. Because they count on us to actually self-censor. And I admit that I have self-censored myself because, I thought, well, you always have this battle. If you have a show, if I talk about this, the show's going to be wiped out. But if I don't talk about it, then I'm not really part of the answer. I'm part of the cover up, So you have these things. So the time that there was some talk about it, the show got killed right off of YouTube. So, but we don't know. We don't know how things go. But we can't walk in fear, Patricia. And I think if the opposite of fear is faith, and so I think that may have a healing effect on us, or be like that force field that I said earlier, talking about the things they keep throwing at you. If you walk in love and you walk in faith and you don't walk in fear, then their continuous attack just won't have the effect.
I agree completely. And I'm also a public person, so I know what I've got to show as well. And I know what it means to have to be guarded with what you say. And, we're walking right into this totalitarian dystopia. We're losing daily more and more of our rights to speak are disappearing. I just got banned on Facebook for I don't know how many days. And
Wow.
it's just really shocking to watch this unfold and realize that we took our freedom of speech for granted. We believed it was an inalienable right. And shockingly enough, we're watching it being ripped out. However, what you said is very important, and that is that we buy into it. We believe that we can't say it, so we don't say it. And then at some point, who will stand up for the human race? We are the frontliners. I mean, when I did that book, I knew that I was putting myself in danger because I'm saying things that I'm not supposed to say. But somebody has to, and you're doing it, and I'm doing it, and lots of people are fed up now, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I just can't be in fear
Mm-hmm.
all the time. There must be the strength of the sovereign soul that stands up and says, no matter what happens, I am a being, a godly being, a child of God, and I am protected. And also, I'm an immortal being. So even if something happens to me in this life, I believe in the immortality of the soul. And in that case, well, if they take me out, I'll be rebirthed.
You'd be quicker to your destination your final destination. By the
Yeah.
way, for those watching, just a quick side note: we talked a little bit about Damar Hamlin, the football player. There's another football player in the news just kind of got missed. Two hours before Damar Hamlin collapsed on the football field, another NFL player died at age 38 of some sort of heart condition. The interesting thing about this, they said he collapsed and they couldn't bring him back. The interesting thing about that football player was he was absolutely pro-vax. He was saying that anybody who hasn't been vaxxed should be locked up and put away. Now it's interesting that on the other side of that, you have Damar Hamlin, who we may or may not have been vaxxed. I'm assuming the NFL forced everybody to be vaxxed, but completely different outcome. So, but there is something about the braggadocio of saying, you said you've seen a lot of the videos of people on television dropping dead, people in soccer fields dropping dead, baseball games, little kids. The whole thing. There's this newer sort of phenomena of that people are twirling around. I don't know if you've seen this. This is crazy. They twirl around and they're pointing at something. And I know, has anybody else in the watching the show seen those videos? Crazy thing about that, Patricia, I just saw a video recently of a lion doing that. This lion was I don't know where he was, but he starts going in a circle. Then he flips on his back and he starts convulsing just like the people that have been spinning around. And the people that are spinning around, they appear to be pointing at something or they're fearful of something coming at them. And to me, that's like they've got a glimpse into this. That's the portal, the thin place between our realm and the next. And they're seeing what the hell's on the other side and scaring the crap out of them. And so maybe they die in a heart attack just seeing that, but they spin around and they're pointing. So there's some kind of weird thing, but there does seem to be a little bit more people expressing their knowledge, particularly in the medical field. There are more and more doctors coming out saying we've been seeing it, and hopefully there'll be a confluence of that. And like for instance, the Department of Defense budget eliminated the vaccine mandate for the military, which Joe Biden signed. Of course, he's the one that ordered them to take the vaccine, but he signed it knowing they would stop using it. But that tells you, do they know something and are using this kind of as a cover? So, oh, well, we had to pass a budget, so we'll just take it away because I had to do it. But maybe they knew they had to do it because there's a lot of problems in the military.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about that spinning around because it freaks me out. And the, first of all, they're spinning around. They're obviously seeing something terrifying. So they're, in several cases, they're trying to, and more than pointing at it, they're trying to hold it off.
Yeah,
and
that's yeah.
Dead, and they go stiff, like rigor mortis, which is very strange. You don't get rigor mortis in a nanosecond. And what's really bizarre is that video of the lion, it's the same thing like you said. It spins around terrified. Oh, that just broke my heart. And then it goes into rigor mortis on its back. And I'm thinking, what possibly could cause a biological being to go stiff like that after that spinning those few seconds and then just completely frozen? I have no idea, but if it was just a spirit or a demon, that frozen part wouldn't necessarily happen. So I'm thinking, is this something that they've been vaccinated with? I don't know. I think, in the case of the lion, it could easily have been a vaccinated lion because now they're testing it on animals too.
Well, they also tried to say that cats can give it to you. They throw these things out occasionally, but maybe just see if they stick or to continue the fear. But also we have this worldwide phenomena that I think was first seen in China with the sheep going around in a circle for 12 days. Well, come to find out, Patricia, and you probably know this, but if not, I can tell you, there have been a lot of things going around in circles. There have been insects going around in circles and other animals going around in circles worldwide. What do you think is causing that phenomena?
I think it has something to do with the 5G towers or the possibly what we're getting radiated with from satellites. Although it might just be, it has something to do with the fact that the poles might be flipping.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that, Earth is experiencing strange uh, anomalies in the geo energetic grid lines or whatever. It's very strange. It's very frightening to me. I have to be honest. I find that anomaly abnormal. When the animals start weirding out, we
Mm-hmm.
got problems.
I would agree
But
100% on that. There was a tsunami that happened years ago. I remember that they said the people inside the island knew it was coming because the animals started running, and they didn't know why the animals were running inside this island. I don't know, miles inside this island. Well, how did they know a tsunami was coming? So I get the story goes that, and because you're on an island, you should pay attention. They started running inland. So the villagers or the Indians or whoever they were, the Aborigines or whatever people was there, or just normal people, business people, who knows what, they went running after the animals, and they got literally saved because they paid attention to what they knew.
this happened also with the tsunami that happened in Thailand. Some animals
Mm-hmm.
started
Mm-hmm.
acting strange. They started running inland, and a lot of people were saved because of them. But watching, I mean, so I've seen bees, I've seen insects, sheep, cattle, all going around in these circles, just blindly going around and around, and it's just very creepy. We're
Mm-hmm.
in a very strange time on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, I just don't know what to say about that. It's very upsetting.
Mm-hmm. Then, of course, we have the 10,000 cattle that died out west here in midsummer, and they say, oh, it was a heat. But there's no recorded phenomena anywhere at any time ever where 10,000 cattle just dropped dead at the same time, and the heat was well within an index tolerable by animals, and no other animals died. They were zapped or who knows what, given feed that was genetically altered, who knows what, but it just seems that the animals are the canary in the coal mine trying to tell us humans we're on the wrong track. But I mean, for most of us, I mean, there's the forces are well beyond the power for us to sort of come up against. The only thing we really have is each other talking about, and you mentioned, kind of bringing out the truth, and then other people got to share their truth and that they find out about. And I got a particular relative that was one of the shot boosters, and they got their animals boosted too as well. But then
Oh
they just health problem after health problem after health problem. But I know at least in my circle uh, of relatives, probably 10 maybe that have substantial health issues now, and some of them are so pro-vaccine that they won't even talk to their own relatives who haven't been vaxxed, but they continue to have these weird, long-lasting, and out-of-the-blue health issues. And the thing of it is, Patricia, I've mentioned this before, that there seems to be some psychological thing that happens to them. We could never say this is because of the shot. They can never say that, because then they have to almost admit liability that they accepted it and made the worst mistake they could ever have made. So the only choice for that is to say something else caused my health issue, and it's rare, and they just stick with that, and their mind receptors can't see and understand. Even if you show them, there's one website out there that has the list of worldwide athletes and all the people that have is 1,500, and so I thought, well, let me check this out here, man. So I start just randomly picking names out of there just to see, Googled each name, and is football player over here, TV guy over there, soccer player here, kid here. I mean, and then, I've read the stories, unexpected. It's always the word unexpected or too young or, such a loss because, or no cause given. A lot of that's going on. Just no, nothing released, and nothing is ever released. Now, why is that? But those lists are out there. It's kind of like the list I went down and checked out when somebody was saying, well, our food supply production is under attack, and there's like 150 different facilities nationwide that have been burnt down. Millions of chickens and millions of turkeys and goats and who knows what, and gooses even. So I thought, okay, I'll just go through there, and I started Googling those listings, and sure enough, man, it just fire over here, plane crash into something over here, car crashed into something over here, explosion over there. I mean, I don't even know how we even have food in this country with the amount of chickens and ducks and turkeys and everything else being burnt up.
Well, the farmers are trying to warn us, beware, because you still got food now, but they're shutting down the farms. And I'm sure you've heard of the Netherlands. 30%
Mm-hmm.
of the farms are being forced closed. And
Mm-hmm.
as far as the cattle, you know, they were obviously eliminated, just like the bird flu, and you wipe out millions and millions of chickens and turkeys. Meanwhile, we've got Bill Gates with his artificial meat company coming up, so that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that they want the animals dead.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is, yeah, there's a sabotage going on again, for control of the human race. And what a great way to control the human population, but to starve them. So people need to wake up to this. The farmers are saying it. This is why when you say people, they don't want to believe it, and it's like that denial is going to get you in big trouble, because when the farmers are telling you themselves, listen, you better start stocking up, because next year, which is 2023, 24, there's not going to be food. We can't produce the food. We don't have either they're being shut down. Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland. We know
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep.
And they're like you said, 150. The last time I heard it was up to 190 food processing centers. More than one has had a plane crash into it. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
They're blowing up the trucks. I mean, this is Armageddon.
So you mentioned
And
you mentioned uh, the attack on the attack on the food, but attack on the soul, attack on civilization. It seems like there's a plan, and you mentioned Norway. It seems like I found out that Norway is maybe the number 2 food producer in the world. And those farmers, as you said, they protested. They got and had a farmers, a tractor convoy. And of course, I think in Norway, they're trying to do what they did in Canada. And that is when people started rising up to speak their voice, the government went after them. They went after their bank accounts to freeze them and all this kind of stuff. I think they're doing the same thing to the farmers. And yeah, you're right. They're trying to shut down 30% of the farms, saying, we'll give you the price of your farm. And if you don't take it, then you won't get nothing. And, so forth and so on. So they really put them in a bad spot.
yeah, you said Norway, but actually it's Netherlands, and they are
Netherlands, that's right. Yes. So thank you for the correction. They all look alike over there to me.
they're the second biggest producers on the planet, I
Yeah.
believe, it's farms. And so already 30% of them, the protest was powerful, but yeah, when they take everything away, what are you going to do? They take away your ability to negotiate, to sell, buy
Mm-hmm.
food,
Mm-hmm.
closing down the bank account. They've got a lot of power.
Well, I got my messages messed up because Norway is the country that's trying to turn all their kids transsexual. So I kind of got confused there. Got my countries there wrong. Okay, so in your books, so are there answers to these things, these quandaries that are pondering humankind?
Absolutely, because my style is to present the problem and offer solutions. And because I do believe that we are sovereign beings, and that even though we're faced with destruction, annihilation, I I believe in the human spirit. I believe that I'm a sovereign being. I believe that we have help from above. I don't understand why we have to be taken to such an extreme. I mean, when you think about the Lord God, however you perceive that to be, why is it allowed to play out that we have to be taken to such a dark extreme? And I don't have the answer for that. But what I do know is that we have immense power, and it starts with the ability to say no. No, I'm not going to get down on my knees. No, I'm not going to bow down to fear. I will fight back. I will fight against tyranny. I will fight against authority unless it is good and I can confirm and assure that the authority is working for me. And we don't have that at this time on our planet.
Mm.
So what I offer is ideas and ways to use sound, for example. You know, music, what they're calling music these days doesn't sound like music to me. It's jarring, horrible, thumping, whiny uh, distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful music nourishes the soul. And if you've ever seen, have you seen Dr. Emoto's water crystals? That whole thing.
No, not particularly.
So there was a man named Emoto who was doing laboratory work. He was freezing fast drying water molecules so that they were frozen at a very high
Yeah, yeah,
speed,
yeah.
and they would go into these beautiful six-sided
Mm-hmm.
starburst formations,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would realize that when there was disharmonious music or sounds or evil words, or they would they would they would not go into that beautiful pattern. They would warp
Mm-hmm.
and crack and whatever.
Hmm.
And when they were fed Beethoven and beautiful, loving music and prayer, they would again form these incredible clusters of stars, beautiful, beautiful stars. And so a lot of work came out of because of that man. A lot of work is being done with the effect of sound on cells, on the remember, we're 90% water here.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does sound affect our body? And can powerful sound alter the DNA to return the DNA to its natural state?
Mm-hmm.
So, I talk about that in the book, and I talk about that a lot. How to use sound, and again, the power of mind over matter,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that we can alter anything with
Mm.
the mind.
Yeah, it seems like there's a story in the Bibles of somebody playing some music and cast the demons out of a pharaoh or a king or something like that. So there is some kind of power in that. I do remember. I do remember a study that where somebody proved that water has memory, and
That's right.
interesting that everything that ever happened on this planet would be encoded in water molecules or water formations because the water never it just evaporates, goes up and comes back down, goes up and comes down, and
Exactly. It changes form, but it doesn't disappear.
mm-hmm.
And I think, and I, when you asked me about your other books, I've talked about this in my other books, that the water of the earth holds the memory of all of our civilizations, and it's the emotional body of the planet because water is affiliated with emotion, the emotional body. So, how we take care of our water is very important for the well being of the planet because we're like 87% water and so is the planet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a coincidence? I don't think so.
Hmm. And what's
Right?
what's that percentage of water?
I believe it's something like somewhere between 82 and
I'm
87% of our
thinking
body's
I thought
water.
it was 87, and so we're close in
Yeah,
there.
it was 87
But
too.
but watermelons are also 87, so maybe we evolved from a watermelon. Just trying to help an atheist out, man. If somebody's listening out there, you big bangers out there, right there. I just gave you something, okay? You big bangers out there.
Well, I do know some people who act like watermelons, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Watermelon head. Okay. So you're saying, I mean, just even from the title of this book, hacking the God code. So is there evidence of this code?
In the book, there's a passage from a established rabbi who talks about how the DNA is a language, and this language, he explains it in great detail. How it's such a complex language. Someone had to have created it. There's no accident in this. I mean, if you consider, for example, the entire computer our AI intelligence is based on 0101. That's the code network for
Mm-hmm.
all of the computers network across time and space in our planet.
Okay.
Now, just on those two digits, if all of that exists, imagine that all that it is in the billions and billions of letters in the DNA code. And in fact, a lot of these people, these researchers, these geneticists want to utilize the human DNA to store information because they know that the code is complex enough to be able to hold data. So what is the God code? Is that what you asked me? I keep losing I think
Um,
it's the
well,
hours.
it's late, and I thank you so much for staying up so late for us out here from your island there. Yeah, I said, what is the code? Is there evidence of the code? I think that's what I said.
What I understand the God code to be, and what I gleaned from this rabbi is God signed his artistry. In other words, just
Mm-hmm.
like an artist signs his
Okay.
painting,
Mm-hmm.
the creator of this complex language that is the DNA left his signature there. And according to the rabbi, it's the word Yahweh, the God, the word that you're never
Mm-hmm.
supposed to pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
In the language of the Bible, don't never take the name of thy Lord in vain.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier testimonials are never mispronounce the name
Mm-hmm.
of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that would be something having something to do with protecting the God code from being discovered.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the God code is the signature of our Creator, and that it's embedded in the complexity of the multi coded billions of sequenced DNA.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's buried there, and I think it's in each sequence.
Yeah. So it, I agree with you there, and I knew about the Yahweh thing. So I'm wondering if there's more evidence out there that God left behind, sort of a signature. I know from a biblical standpoint, he says that even nature itself declares there is a God. Because I think if you begin to look at nature, you're thinking, okay, there's no way this come out of some kind of deep, dank, dark, primordial soup. You know, a monkey jumps out of there, orange tree jumps out of there, big dinosaur, he comes out of there. He's got a man, a guy and gal coming out of there. Did the egg come out, or did the chicken come out? I mean, did the first chicken come out of there? Was he able to lay eggs, or was it one that laid eggs? They went on, I mean, or whatever else animal, or was the tree that came out of the goo? Did it already have a seed? I mean, so to me, nature does declare the existence of God. So there is, I would call nature is a gigantic signature of God.
In fact, if you look at any flower, any leaf, any insect, there's always sacred geometry. There's always this incredible artistry in everything. I mean, the other day I was watching a bee. I was really up close to it, and I was able to see it from a distance, but close enough. This incredible pattern in its the back of its body. I thought, right down to the skin of a bee, everything is sacred geometry everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
perfection of design.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is godliness.
Mm-hmm. Well,
The
you
architect, the ultimate.
well, Patricia, in case you didn't know, you are talking to a beekeeper, and
Oh boy, good for you.
so I will say, talking about design, the octagons that they put their honey in, or where they put nectar in, turns into honey. The octagon is the most efficient structure to house anything. For instance, if they made circles, there would be gaps. There would be a lot of inefficiencies in that. So somebody told a
Exactly.
sweet little bee to build a hexagon, which is the strongest structure that there is. Plus, it's the most efficient way to store stuff. And here's a little fact for you too. This has to do with this kind of faith. So, engineers measured the weight of the body of a bee and the wingspan, and determined that the amount of the wingspan versus the body weight that the bee cannot fly. The wings are not big enough to support that bee. The problem is nobody told the bee that she couldn't fly. That's my little bee spiel right there. But yeah, almost every insect. There's another one. I was thinking
But
about this. Go ahead. I was thinking
I
about
just
this.
want to,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
before we change the subject, I wanted to say that every bee on the planet knows how to make that hexagon. So it's in the DNA, right?
Right.
This is the whole DNA. It's in the structure of its.
It's in the code.
It's in the code. Exactly. This is how you're going to do it precisely. Every single bee on the planet knows that that's what that it has to do. And it's just remarkable. And
Hmm.
when people say they don't believe in God, I'm like, well, how do you explain this?
Mm.
And, the bee is a perfect example.
Hmm. Well, I was going to give you another one. This has to do, there's a spider out there. And what he does is he wants to get a big rock and he wants to bring that rock up to his web for unknown reasons. I forgot why he wants that rock up there, but he wants the rock. Well, what he does is he goes down there and he sees the rock that he wants and he puts a strand of web on it. Well, that's not going to hold that rock. But what he does is then he goes back up, he attaches another thread and he comes back down and he touches that rock and connects to that rock again. Then he tightens it a little bit. Then he goes up there, does another one, comes down, tightens it. And as he going up and down, adding threads, he's slowly lifting that rock up. It's 100 times bigger than him in weight to finally he gets that rock. That's an engineering marvel that he does that. Who told the spider how to lift that rock for one thing? And why does he want a rock? I don't know. But he wants that rock. And then he's got the way to do it.
He knows how to get it. That's exactly. He knows how to get it, which is the extraordinary beauty of life and nature. And and back to when we were talking about the animals, that's why when the animals are acting weird or out of their nature, we know something's really amiss because they have an innate approach to everything they do, a design to, like you said, even to the point where a spider knows how to lift that rock. And then why all of a sudden are all these animals just walking aimlessly around in circles with
Mm-hmm.
no idea what they're doing?
Yeah.
It's
I'll give you another one. This is kind of fun. My memory's going here. So there's a fish, and out of the fish's forehead is like a stick. It comes out part of the fish, and then it kind of drops down, and there's a little ball there. Well, it's a fishing pole. It's a fishing pole. Another smaller fish will see that thing dangling. It's like a growth out of it, like a horn, comes out and goes down. It has a little dangly thing. So he's just swimming all around. Another fish sees that and bites that just like it's somebody fishing. And of course, then the fish gets him. So that fish came equipped with his own fishing pole. Okay, so was the fish like him? So the fish before him, did he not have the fishing pole grow out of his head? And he didn't make it, but then all of a sudden a fish came about and he got a fishing pole, and then so his species gets to go. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It seems to me that fish with the fishing pole stuck in his head was that way from the beginning. He was assembled in one piece.
That's amazing. Do you know what kind of fish that is?
Fish with a fishing pole on his head. No, but Google. That's an easy Google there. Fish with fishing pole in head would be the search term. Technologically advanced as you could come up with that. But so that's another one. So and again, but I like how you answered that question. It's in the DNA. It's in the code. There are things written in that code, and it goes on to say, to me, the theme is that if that code is altered, it seems to me that code was perfect to begin with, but somebody's tampered with it, and we must have the results right now of people that have had their DNA altered. And I know, to me, it's an easy connection. Not too long ago, there were people that were screaming at the sky because they didn't like an election outcome. They were screaming, they were terrorized, they were cutting themselves, just the horror of the wrong person being elected. And to me, those types of people, I mean, now there are people saying, hey, give me a baby so I can kill it. I mean, out in public, they're saying this, just prominent people, musicians, give me a baby so I can throw it against a wall. I mean, who says that kind of stuff? Who says that kind of stuff? But they're saying that just so much out there, perhaps to get a rise out of somebody else. But in their heart, they believe it. They say, I want to have some kids so I can murder them. And who says that kind of stuff? To me,
You're saying that?
Yeah, look it up. There are people said that like singers, and that'd be another Google for you. So what I'm saying is, I'm wondering, is it and just there's some people that are so angry. In fact, there seems to be a lot. I've noticed it in our own area of car crashes. There's way more car crashes and accidents than there ever has been. It appears that people's thought process of focusing is gone or changing. Something is changing in the population. Their
Well,
ability
I'd
to
like
focus.
remember one thing here, and that is this: the ultimate weapon is the ability to destroy or alter the DNA. It's more powerful than any weapon any civilization has, because if you can do that, if you can go into the DNA and rewrite the essence of a species, you're changing forever that species. You're mutating that species. It can't come back. You can come back from a war. You can even come back from a nuclear war, but you can't come back from your DNA being written, the DNA of a entire species being rewritten. And
Right?
that's what they're doing. And they're telling us they're doing it because they're saying we know how to hack the DNA.
Well, they
Human
need.
beings are hackable animals, and we know how to do it.
Hmm. I think they ought to hack their own DNA first. It's interesting. The people that believe in population control don't volunteer themselves to decrease the population. So I don't know about that. Somebody in the live chat said it's called the angler fish. Go figure.
Oh, thank you. Go figure. In fact,
All
that's a
right.
good.
And then now somebody looked me up the spider. We want to know the spider's name with the rock. And what was that other one? Spider and a rock. And,
We
and
got the.
and another one is the birds of paradise. I don't know if you ever seen any kind of show on those birds, but birds of paradise, they do these unbelievable dances. It's like, who told them to dance like that? And then they have these plumes that come out. Nobody knows where they're coming out of. They just come out and they're like 10 times bigger than the bird. They're called birds of paradise. There's all kind of variations of them. Beautiful birds, but they do these dances, and so I don't know. I don't. Oh, by the way, you talk about design, and I can go back to fish. There is a fish that makes this big on the sand. He looks for a sanding area. He makes this big design. It looks like a kaleidoscope. It looks exactly like a kaleidoscope you would see. And he makes this. One little fish does this, and he's thinking, "Who made this?" It was a fish made that. Well, what's that all about? He's trying to attract a mate. I guess the guy with the fish with the best kaleidoscope design under the sea gets the girl. Again,
Perfect, perfect as well. In fact, I remember reading about they had like scuba divers were baffled because they were seeing these designs under the water. Nobody, they were saying maybe they were supernatural, maybe they were crop circles, and then
mm-hmm.
one day somebody went, "Whoa, check out this little fish
some,
doing that."
some little fish.
It's
So
just extraordinary, and this divinity that is all around us. And back to what you were saying about how people are acting so bizarrely.
mm-hmm.
Let's not forget that if their DNA is being tampered with, there very well it may very well be that there's a dysfunction in the mental body as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then add to the problem that there's a lot of microclotting going on. They're discovering that
Mm-hmm.
microclots in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
past the blood-brain
Mm-hmm.
barrier,
Mm-hmm.
are happening. So I think a lot of people are absolutely having brain damage
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it's just
we got a major politician in this country who is shaking hands with ghosts several times, and I'm pretty sure that brain's all messed up. I mean, guy goes on stage and he's shaking hands with nobody's there. So I mean, that's pretty messed up. So I'm thinking there's some kind of DNA that's been altered there. Is there anything that we can do to strengthen our DNA? Is that even a thing that is possible? Or is it once is maybe protect it or make it stronger so it can't be hacked, or is it, work it out?
The idea that I'm bringing forward here is that there are things you can do, meditations, activations with music, where you can bring harmonics into the DNA. And it may sound, woo woo, but it's not. As we were talking about the memory of water, that it holds memory, so it holds the memory of sound. Sound creates sacred geometric figures, like we were talking about the fish with the design, the bees with the incredible designs on their bodies. And so the water in our bodies also is filled with sacred geometric forms that get shattered when we put in chemicals, when we eat poisons or whatever. These, if you look at it from a metaphysical point of view, where it's kind of where I come from,
Hmm.
it's these are sacred designs, and like I call it, the divine blueprint. And I think that we can restore these designs, and in doing that, heal the DNA. Definitely.
Well, there's some hope right there. By the way, our moderator Jade said the spider is called the camel spider. So there's
Oh, it
two
is.
there's two we got solved there. Hey, I'll give you another one since we're all about it. There's a roach out there who has chemicals, two different chemicals in its mandibles, and it spits them out. And as it spits them out, they combine, and when they combine, it bursts into flames, so they can blast somebody's trying to attack them. So now think about that. He spits out, and then there's this flame. It ignites into fire out of this roach. Now that don't sound to me like the roach before him only had one chemical, so he couldn't kill nobody. And then one day another roach got evolved out of him. He had two chemicals. That kind of reminds me of a movie called um, Reign of Fire, where it was about fire breathing dragons. That somebody went down in a cave, and they loosed a dragon, fire breathing dragon. But that was the same theory though, because they said the dragon had two chemicals that caused it to blow out. And if you look at ancient history of the earth, many cultures show dragons, and many of them show fire breathing dragons. There could have, if there's a fire breathing roach, you figure there probably was a fire breathing dragon sometime too.
Stuff.
Huh?
How do you know all this stuff
Oh,
about these insects?
oh, it just comes to me, man. I do what I do, you know. Things that interest me or things that I retain. That's I guess I put it that way. Flame throwing cockroaches. That would be it too. So yeah, man. I guess if you're in a bind, you need to start a fire. Go try to find one. I don't know where they're at. Probably not in our country, but they might be on your
Right?
little island there. You got to have all kind of
No,
weird creatures out there.
I have to tell you, the good news about my island is we have no snakes and we have no poisonous spiders.
Wow. Okay.
Makes me a happy camper.
Okay. All right. The answer came in. It's called the hissing roach.
Your audience is amazing.
Man, they're right on it.
They
But
are the hissing roach. God,
yeah,
yikes.
yeah. So
Yeah, it's quite remarkable how nature is, nothing is superfluous in nature. It is, the design is, and if you think of a God or a prime creator, what it took to create every species down to the wire, down to the ant,
mhm.
each with its purpose, each with its dignity, each with its ability and capability and art. Because if you don't think, if you look an ant colony, it's remarkable. Have you ever seen any of these ant colonies that they pour the metal into and then
Mhm.
they pull up the structure? It's like modern art.
Mhm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, somebody else wrote in another name for that roach is called the bombardier beetle, and I would say pilot bombardier, blast them. I'll tell you what though, you mentioned ants, and I'm going to make a tie-in to bees, because ants. There's an ant um, colony that actually collects honey. It's called the honey ant, and they make little balls filled with honey. I think it might be the only other insect besides the honey bee, because most bees don't make honey. They usually rob it from the sweet little honey bee. But there is something out there called a honey ant, so they're trying to get in on that too, making that honey. Well, who taught them that? I don't know. I really don't know. Well, listen, Patricia, we're getting near the broadcast. I want to make sure you have an opportunity to say any final closing thoughts or anything about your books too. You go right ahead.
Well, everybody, look, if you've been tweaked by some of the things I've been saying, I'd love you to go out and get my book. It's called Hacking the God Code: The Conspiracy to Steal the Human Soul. It's going to empower you. It's going to remind you who you are. It speaks to the sovereign within you, and it's an important book to read right now. So you can get it on Amazon or any of the bookstores online. And my website is Patricia Corey with an I.com. I've got a YouTube channel, and you're going to have to come on my channel sometime. I'd love to have you on. I do a show called Beyond the Matrix for people that think outside the box. So I'm really honored to have been with you, Daniel. Thank you for having me on, and thank you to all your listeners. And I hope that we do it again.
Okay, well, Patricia Corey, stay safe out there on that island paradise you live in, and I'll stay safe here in the middle of the Midwest with the 30-degree weather and endless farm fields of genetically growing corn.
Watch out for the corn for sure.
One of these days, that genetically modified corn just might start walking off the field, man, and then start attacking people. You don't know what these Frankenstein monsters going to create next.
No, you don't. Be strong and be discerning. And as much as possible, scrutinize what you're eating, man. I mean, I just want to leave you with this thought.
Yeah.
I'm even milling my own wheat now. I got a little
Wow.
mill and I'm grinding my own wheat. I'm just meticulous about what goes into my being. And it's time for people to just start, asking questions. Whoa, wait a minute. Before I agree to do this, I want to know what's in it.
Hmm.
Why do I need it?
Hmm.
And stand for yourself and for your family.
Okay, so I got a little I got a little closer too. So nobody's asked the question, what's in the vaccine? You're not even allowed to ask. I don't even think there's a
No,
spec sheet that comes with it. It's just a blank sheet. You're not supposed to
blank
ask.
sheet.
You would think that's the first thing you want to know. Okay, I'd love to take it, man. What's in it? Forget it. You're not going to get an answer because they're not going to tell you what's in it. It kind of reminds me then. Here's a tie-in, kind of weird. This is weird because I'm a cowboy. So one of my favorite shows is called Outlaw Josie Wales. Well, in Outlaw Josie Wales, there's this shyster salesman who's got a bottle of elixir, and he's on in the mid in the west in the western town, and he's saying, "Hey people, I got this elixir for 10 cents. It cures everything that ails you. It cures baldness, cures obesity, it cures this, cures tuberculosis." And then so an Indian comes up to it, and he says to the Indian, "Hey, looks like you could use some of this elixir." And the Indian, he says, "Well, what's in it?" And the salesman says, "I don't know. I just sell it, man." So he goes, "Well, then you drink it." So there you go. I know it's weird, but that's how the mind thinks. It's late here too, so hey.
No, I can dig it. It fits right in.
All right, producer Corey, thanks so much for coming on the show, and we'll look forward to having you on again sometime.
I'd love that. Thanks, Daniel. You take care.
Okay.